All right, so you want to inspire a generation through the magic of literature, huh? That stack of materials you gave us on becoming a secondary school literature teacher is a fantastic start.
It is. There's a lot to unpack here,
Yeah.
but diving deep into this career path is definitely worth it.
Yeah, let's dive right in with this RoleCatcher guide.
Okay.
It paints such a vivid picture of a literature teacher's day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
1 minute you're moving between classrooms.
Yeah.
The next you might find yourself in the library surrounded by
Right.
towering shelves of books, searching for the perfect text to ignite a student's imagination.
And what's fascinating is how those everyday tasks actually translate to building essential skills in students.
Yeah.
We're talking reading comprehension, of course,
Of course.
but also critical thinking as they analyze complex themes. And let's not forget communication. Those classroom discussions can get lively.
Oh, I bet. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
It's more than just lecturing, isn't it?
It's not.
It's about fostering a love of language and storytelling.
It is.
I imagine it takes a special kind of person to bring those classic texts to life for a room full of teenagers.
It does. And the RoleCatcher Guide emphasizes that this passion for literature needs to be paired with a commitment to staying current.
Okay.
Think that attending conferences, participating in online forums, it's a dynamic field.
That makes sense. Literature is constantly evolving, so
Right.
naturally so should the way we teach it.
Right.
Speaking of evolving, this guy also lays out the path to actually becoming a literature teacher.
Okay.
And it might not be as straightforward as you think.
Right. While a degree in English literature might seem like the obvious choice,
Right.
the guide also highlights related fields like creative writing or even theater studies.
Oh, wow.
These can offer unique perspectives on storytelling and performance, which can be incredibly valuable in the classroom.
That's a great point. It's not just about knowing the books, it's about finding engaging ways to teach them.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious about those first steps into the classroom. The guide briefly mentions student teaching, which I imagine can be both exciting and nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. The guide stresses the importance of gaining hands-on experience.
Yeah.
Think back to your own education. Those teachers who truly inspired you likely had a knack for connecting with students.
Right.
That's something you develop through practice, whether it's student teaching, volunteering, or even tutoring.
And that practical experience can make all the difference when you're finally ready to apply for jobs.
Yes?
I remember how nerve-wracking interviews can be,
Tell me about it.
especially for a teaching position where you're not just selling yourself,
Right.
but your passion and teaching philosophy.
You're right. Interviews can be a bit daunting.
Yeah.
The RoleCatcher Guide even hints at some of the questions they might ask.
Oh, really? Like what?
Like, how would you handle a disruptive student?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or how do you make classic literature relevant to today's teenagers?
Oh, very relevant.
Having thoughtful answers prepared can really make you stand out.
It's all about finding that balance. Isn't it being prepared for the tough questions while letting your genuine passion for literature shine through?
Absolutely.
But let's be honest, it's a competitive field.
It is.
So how can someone really stand out from the crowd?
That's where those certifications come in, like a teaching license.
Right?
It shows you're serious about the profession and have met certain standards.
Okay.
It's like a stamp of approval that reassures potential employers.
Okay, so you've aced your interview,
Mm-hmm.
landed your first teaching job.
Congratulations.
What's next?
What is next?
The guide maps out different career stages from junior literature teacher all the way to head of department,
Okay.
which sounds impressive.
It's interesting how they break it down.
Yeah.
For example, as a junior literature teacher, you might assist senior teachers with lesson planning or grading.
Right.
But as you progress to a full-fledged literature teacher, you gain more autonomy in designing your own curriculum and crafting engaging lessons. And it's not just about climbing the ladder, is it?
Yeah.
The guide also emphasizes mentorship with senior literature teachers, often guiding newer teachers.
Yeah,
It's like passing the torch,
I like that.
ensuring the love of literature continues to burn bright.
I love that analogy. But let's be real, even seasoned teachers can't rest on their laurels.
No.
The world of literature is constantly expanding with new voices, new perspectives, new ways of looking at those classic texts.
Exactly. This is where that concept of continuous learning comes into play, which the guide touches on.
Yeah.
It's more than just keeping up with the latest literary trends.
Right.
It's about expanding your teaching toolkit.
Your toolkit.
And yes, by toolkit, I mean your teaching strategies and methodologies
Uh-huh.
to create dynamic and engaging learning experiences for your students.
So it's not enough to just love books.
You gotta love teaching.
You have to love the craft of teaching, too, always seeking new ways to inspire and challenge your students.
Keep it fresh.
The guide mentions advanced degrees and professional development courses.
Yes.
Are those really necessary to stay ahead of the curve?
While not always mandatory, they can be incredibly valuable.
Okay.
Think of it this way. A master's degree in education can provide you with a deeper understanding of pedagogy,
Okay.
essentially the theory and practice of teaching,
Mm-hmm.
while specialized workshops can introduce you to innovative teaching techniques like incorporating technology into the classroom
Well, okay.
or using drama to bring literature to life.
Right, bringing it back to that theater.
Exactly.
It's about keeping those lessons fresh and engaging, right?
Yes.
I remember some of my most memorable learning experiences involved stepping outside the traditional classroom setting.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, the guide briefly mentioned networking, suggesting aspiring teachers attend conferences and join professional organizations.
Yes.
How important are those connections, really?
Networking is crucial in any field,
Yeah.
but especially in education.
Right.
Conferences, for instance, are like a buffet of inspiration and practical advice.
Okay.
You'll hear from leading voices in literature and education, discover new teaching methodologies, and connect with fellow teachers who share your passion.
It's like a shot in the arm for your teaching practice.
It is.
And I imagine those connections can lead to all sorts of opportunities.
Absolutely. Joining professional organizations, for example, can provide access to mentorship programs,
Wow.
career resources, and even job boards specifically for literature teachers.
Oh, fantastic.
It's about building a support system and staying informed about the latest developments in the field.
It sounds like networking isn't just about advancing your own career, but also about contributing to the wider community of literature teachers.
Precisely. It's about sharing best practices, supporting one another,
Yeah.
and collectively advocating for the importance of literature education in today's world.
So we've explored the day-to-day realities, the importance of continuous learning and networking. But what about the elephant in the room?
The job hunt.
The job hunt itself.
Yes.
We've mentioned RoleCatcher throughout this deep dive, but let's be honest, navigating the job market, especially for teachers,
It's tough out there.
can be intimidating.
It can feel overwhelming, absolutely.
Right.
But that's where RoleCatcher's platform can be a game changer.
Okay.
Think of it as your personalized guide to navigating the often complex world of job searching.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm fresh out of university, armed with my teaching license and a head full of literary knowledge.
Okay.
Where do I even begin with RoleCatcher?
Well, one of the first things you can do is create a profile
Okay.
and start exploring their extensive database of career guides.
Okay.
We've been focusing on the Literature Teacher Guide, but they have resources for a wide range of subjects.
So even if I'm having second thoughts about teaching Shakespeare,
There are other options.
I can see what else is out there that's reassuring.
Yes.
But let's say I'm sticking with literature.
Okay.
What's next?
Then you're in luck.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher has a powerful job board that pulls in listings from numerous sources.
Okay.
No more endlessly scrolling through generic job sites.
Wait, so it's like a curated list of teaching positions tailored to my field? That sounds incredibly efficient.
It is, and you can filter your search by location experience level, even specific keywords related to your interests.
Wow.
Found something promising?
Yeah.
Save it to your profile so you don't lose track.
That's a lifesaver. I've lost count of how many times I've stumbled upon a great job posting only to forget where I found it. It happens. But let's be real, finding the right job is only half the battle.
That's right.
What about crafting the perfect CV or resume that always stresses me out? Crafting the perfect CV does feel like a daunting task. It's like trying to condense all your skills and experience into a single page. How does RoleCatcher make that process any less painful?
Well, their CV Resume Builder is a game changer. Forget generic templates. This tool helps you create a CV tailored to the specific jobs you're eyeing.
Okay, now that sounds interesting. Tailored in what way?
It's all powered by AI. You upload your information, and the tool actually analyzes job descriptions, suggesting ways to highlight your most relevant skills and experience. It's like having a personal brand manager for your teaching career.
So no more second guessing if I'm using the right keywords or structuring my experience effectively. That must be a huge relief for first-time job seekers, especially in a competitive field like education.
Absolutely. And here's where it gets even cooler. Remember, those skills gaps we talked about earlier, RoleCatcher can actually identify those for you too.
Wait, how does it do that? Read my mind through the computer screen?
Not quite mind reading, but close. It compared your skills to those listed in job postings you're interested in. If there are any gaps, it flags them so you can address them.
That's incredible. So instead of sending out my CV into the void and hoping for the best I can, be proactive and fill those gaps, what kind of gaps are we talking about? Give me an example.
Let's say you're interested in teaching a specific literary movement like magical realism, but haven't had much experience in that area. RoleCatcher might suggest taking a course or attending a workshop to bolster your expertise, or perhaps a recurring theme in job descriptions is experience with project-based learning. RoleCatcher would highlight that, encouraging you to gain experience in that area.
It's like having a personalized roadmap guiding you towards those missing pieces. I can see how that would be incredibly valuable, not just for landing a job, but also for feeling confident and prepared walking into that classroom.
Exactly. And speaking of feeling prepared, let's not forget about RoleCatcher's AI-powered interview prep. They have this amazing database of over 120,000 interview questions tailored to specific careers, including, you guessed it, literature teaching.
120,000. That's a lot of potential questions, but I imagine having access to that kind of resource would calm even the most anxious job seeker's nerves. How does it actually work?
It's quite simple, actually. You select the type of teaching position you're interested in,
Yeah.
and the tool generates relevant interview questions. You can even practice answering them aloud, and the AI will provide feedback on your pacing clarity and even your tone of voice.
It's like having a virtual mock interview with a seasoned educator, and you can do it all from the comfort of your own home, no sweaty palms required.
Exactly. They even have a video practice feature allowing you to record yourself answering questions and then review your performance.
Wow, so from crafting a standout CV to acing those interviews, RoleCatcher really does offer comprehensive support for aspiring educators.
They do, and while having the right tools can make a world of difference, never underestimate the power of your own passion and dedication. This deep dive has explored the multifaceted nature of being a literature teacher. It's demanding, but incredibly rewarding.
Absolutely. It's about sharing your love of literature, fostering critical thinking, and inspiring a new generation of readers and writers.
Remember, the journey of a literature teacher is a continuous one, filled with learning growth and the joy of witnessing your students blossom.
What a beautiful thought to leave our listeners with. It's been an enlightening deep dive into the world of literature teaching, wouldn't you say?
Indeed, it has to all those aspiring educators out there. We wish you the very best on your journey. Remember, the power of literature to inspire and transform lives is immeasurable. And as a teacher, you have the privilege of wielding that power every single day.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and never stop sharing your love of literature.